how many touch points till they buy? Now, the short answer is who knows, right? It could be 1. It could be 30, but I'm going to talk on average, and I'm going to talk around some ways in which you might want to think about how many times you touch somebody within the process. So, marketing itself is not around a singular touch point. Okay. A lot of customers, when I start working with them, they will say to me, Miles, I've tried marketing. And I'm like, okay, how did you get on with it? And they'll say, it didn't work. And when I ask more probing questions, the answers that I get back most commonly is that they try individual bits of marketing, but on their own, in isolation. And of course, this is never really going to be highly effective, because you need a rounded approach to marketing, and ultimately people need to be made aware of your brand, and they need to interact with your brand multiple times before, on average, they will make a purchase. So, sorry, I'm just going to come out of this and try and log back in so I can see any questions that come through. Right. Okay. I can see now that it is live and the closed captions are going mental on my screen. Right. Okay. So I can see there are people on live as well. Apologies for that, but I couldn't quite see that that things were working out. Right. Let's get back into it. So try and think about marketing, right, as something which you do in a joined up way, and something that you do in perpetuity, constantly ongoing, and not something that you do for a short period of time and just give up and think it doesn't work. So when I started in marketing as a young boy, there was no such thing as digital marketing, and there was no way of touching people through a smartphone, because smartphones didn't even exist, right? And on average, we were told that back in the day, you had to touch people 7 times before they engaged or they bought. And that was typical, right? Now, I know you might sort of do a paid for ad campaign on Google, and someone might click on you and buy straight away. All right, then you're lucky, and you've got a product that they already were interested in and were ready to buy. But the vast majority of people, they will want to come into contact with you multiple times before they are ready to make the purchase. So 7 times is what it used to be back in the good old days before digital was a thing. Now that digital has become a thing, though, what do we think's happened to the number of touch points on average? Well, the last official stats that I saw, it was over 13 times that people had to see and engage with you before they bought, right? I think it was something like 13.2 or something like that. But looking at some stats on the internet now, it can be between 13 and 22 times that they need to see your brand before they will actually make a decision to purchase, right? And this is a lot, right? It's a lot. But this isn't surprising, I suppose, because of the ubiquitous nature of social media, right? It's everywhere. And back in my day, there were fewer magazines where you could place advertisements. There were fewer radio stations. There was only 3 channels on the TV. There was a lot less media out there. So it's no surprise that there were less touch points before people would buy. Now it's constant, right? It is absolutely constant. You're being bombarded by advertisements left, right, and center. So it is, to me, it's not surprising that this figure can now be quite high. Let's talk about some sort of simple funneling, because ultimately the touch points I'm talking about, you need to do these in a joined up way and with an approach, right? So I've talked about funneling before. If you missed that one, you can look back through it on my LinkedIn or go onto my YouTube channel and catch up with it. But in essence, there are three sort of main areas to your funnel. There's the awareness stage, there's the consideration stage, and then there's the conversion or the purchase stage. Don't forget there's like a post sale part of this as well. Now, I appreciate we're talking about, how many touch points before people buy, but what I'm going to say is don't forget that those people that have been your customers, they can continue to be your customers and your advocates. So it's really important that you continue to communicate with them post sale. You give them the service, you give them some kind of loyalty. All right. These are things that are important. So construct yourself a simple funnel. And we'll talk a little bit now about what can go into these funnels. And they don't all have to be paid for services. Some of them are free or low cost, and some of them are paid. So common activities, and when I was a boy, we used to talk about above the line and below the line. And then when sort of digital came through, it became through the line. Hey, look, it doesn't really matter, but traditional sort of media would have been TV, radio, print, outdoor, PR, right? The below the line stuff or the through the line stuff now is going to be, your online ads, email, search, blogs, I'm reading my list, affiliate marketing, direct marketing, word of mouth through networking. We talk a lot about that on this channel. Your website, your social media platforms, your newsletter, cold calls, promotions, instant messaging or WhatsApp chatting, ebooks, loyalty programs. Like the list goes on, webinars, you're right, the list goes on and on and on. These are multiple touch points, 3, 6, 9, 12. Like I came up with just 15 there, right? There are a whole lot more. And let's not forget that you don't just do these things as one-off. You keep doing them. So once someone has subscribed to your newsletter, right, they see that touch point once, and if you publish them monthly across 6 months, they'll touch you 6 times. Not everybody is ready or at the right time for purchase, don't forget. So it's really important to keep your messaging consistent and do this sort of joined up approach. Now, I just want to give you a real world example of how a simple funnel can be very effective. So one of my monthly customers, who shall remain nameless, we put in place a simple funnel, and this is how it's structured. So first of all, we have identified our target market. I talk about this a lot on the show. This is all about making sure that you have an avatar in mind for you to direct your marketing towards. So we have and it's a B2B business, right? So we have our targets. We've identified that. I then go away and find potential targets and put them in front of the customer for them to approve. And when they've approved it, the funnel begins. So we connect with them on social media. We then generate an email, and this is all done through a CRM system. It actually generates a domino effect. So the moment that I put them into the connected on social media bucket, it moves seamlessly through to send them a personalized email. That then in turn triggers the sending of a physical letter. Remember those? Right? So we're hitting different mediums here. We're hitting social media, we're hitting email marketing, we're hitting direct mail with a covering letter and a brochure that gets sent out in the post, or a flyer or a keyring or whatever you want to do, right? Then after a period of time, that is followed up by a sales progressor, okay? Somebody who's expert in cold calling, I would say lukewarm calling, because we've got some details there, but then trying to arrange a meeting for the boss of the company to get in front of them. Now, this Doesn't sound like 13 touch points or 20 odd touch points. But the point being is that this is a standard funnel which allows you to do a couple of things. Firstly, you're adding new contacts to your leads to your database, which allows you to continue to touch with, even if you don't convert them in the first instance. But let me give you two real world examples, right? So this week, we've managed to get an order confirmed from a company which we only put into that funnel 3 weeks ago. That's a pretty good sort of turnaround in terms of conversion, and the order is being sent into the factory as we speak. But also, I wanted to give you an example. And we touched those people at least 6 times before they actually engage with us, right? And it did go all the way to the boss actually having a physical meeting with them. However, what about more instant gratification? We all like things instantly. Well, one of the targets that I reached out and connected with via LinkedIn, a couple of days later, messaged me back. They were in the market, right? They were ready for our services. So I put them straight onto the sales progressor, and a meeting has been arranged very, very quickly. We didn't have to sort of take them through the whole of the sales funnel. So look, were we lucky that that particular person was ready to engage with us? Well, look, I don't believe in luck. I think you create your own luck. And by having a structured funnel where we connect with them through the different channels, that gave us the opportunity to be there at the right time when that customer was ready. Okay, so just a little sort of success story just from one of my customers. And it was, well, not one success story, it was 2 success stories within the last week where our funnel has been effective. So we're talking about, on average, a customer will need to be touched by you in some form of marketing activity between 7 and 8 times. Okay, it can be as low as first time touch, as my example when we connected on LinkedIn, or 2 to 3 if you've got somebody who is nice and warm to you, or it can be as long as 13, 22 plus. It may take you a good couple of years, with, especially say in my business, somebody could be watching today and think, oh, I quite like what Miles is saying, but they may not be ready to engage with my services, I don't know, until their financial year starts again, or until they've got, something else happening within their business. Like, who knows what the rationale or reasons is. But if I'm not here and if I'm not doing this, then those people can't see me, right? It's just one of my touch points. If you've got any questions, I can see there's quite a few people on today live, so please pop them in the chat. Be happy to answer them if I can for you. I'm going to finish up by just making like an obvious point, okay? And there is some research out there to show this is true, but the more touch points you put in place, the more opportunities you give to get business, okay? So if you're touching people 6, 7, 8 times, let's try and push that out. Let's try and touch people 12 times, and you'll see your conversion rates increase. Start adding layers into your funnel. But if you don't have a funnel, start somewhere. All right, start being consistent, start showing up and doing things on a regular basis, and over time you will see that it starts to make a difference. So don't just do social media and do it on its own. Don't just post blogs and do them on their own. Don't just send emails out. Don't just create newsletters. Do all of these things in a joined up, rounded approach. Okay, joined up marketing, right, is the best way to engage and touch with people on a regular basis, and be a little bit smart about it. Like I've talked before, create content and then repurpose content across the multiple touch points and channels that you have. All right. Okay. Here we go. Karen in the chat has put. Right. Okay. My name apparently calls me Mars in the subtitles. Is that AI titling? Interesting subject. Right. Okay. So you're talking about the captioning. The captioning has been driven by me switching on closed captioning within the broadcast of LinkedIn. So if you watch this back on YouTube, you won't see the closed captioning. I use a system called Restream. So if you go live on LinkedIn, you can only use a number of streaming softwares. Restream is one of them. And it's been quite faffy to find. And quite frankly, it needs to be a little bit easier. But I've had to schedule each Tuesday event. And then on LinkedIn, I've had to go into the settings and click closed captioning. Last week, when I just went live and I didn't schedule the event, it didn't give me an option for closed captioning. So the thing is absolutely bizarre. So are some touches right? So yeah, so that answers your question there. The other question is, are some touches more powerful than others? Well, I think the answer has got to be yes. I mean, we've talked about video being one of the most powerful tools, right? You know, if a picture tells 1,000 words, then, you know, a video must be millions. But it's probably specific or particular to the types of products and services that you offer. Karen, I know that you're in video production, so I would say if you produced loads of written marketing materials, it wouldn't be as effective as if you produce lots of video marketing materials for your business. You're in video. It would, you know, it'd be the same if you were a songwriter and you didn't promote your song lyrics and that type of stuff. So that was a really good example, but you know, it's horses for courses. The point being is, even if you find one medium like video in your respect, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to blogs, the written word, articles, DMs. You know, just think about touching people on a multiple level across multiple different platforms. And one of the nice things with doing this digitally now is that you can trace how popular your activities are. You know, that's one of the nice things about digital marketing, is the fact that you can see the stats, you can see what works for you. Just one of the things with that is that when you create a campaign, think about creating a bespoke landing page, so that if you have got a particular promotion within your business, when you market it, create a landing page that just gives people the call to action around that promotion. Don't just send them to your homepage where they just get lost in the mire. Send them to something that is specific around the promotion that you're doing. That way as well, you can track how popular that promotion has been. And then over a number of promotions, you can see whether or not there's a sweet spot in terms of what works best for you within your genre. Okay, so I hope that helps, Karen. Different formats are warmer to different people. So knowing the types of communication, the target audience. Yeah, well, look, this comes back to my original point about knowing your target audience. Okay, if I had not known the target for my customer, then I wouldn't have been able to draw up an accurate list of targets, right? They would have all got sort of thrown out. But the more detail you go into around your target, the more relevant that you can make your marketing and your marketing messages for them. Okay. Hopefully that's answered your question for you there, Karen. Target market, especially in the digital age, you can go into granular detail when it comes to the behaviors of certain demographics. So these days, especially if you operate on a digital platform, you can find out that not only somebody prefers to go and get their coffee from Cafe Nero, but the fact that they like soya milk and the fact that they like it frapped or whatever it may be. Bad example, but in terms of sort of years ago, just knowing that someone was male, that they were in a socio-economic demographic, and that they were more likely to read the Telegraph over the Sun. That kind of thing these days is a lot more detailed, and you can be a lot more specific with what you do. Right. Okay. So my big main point here that I want to make is this. It doesn't matter how many touch points it makes to get them to buy. The point is that generally it takes more than one engagement to get people to buy. Make sure that everywhere that people are able to see you, your website, your social media, make sure that it's up to muster, because and LinkedIn, make sure your LinkedIn profile's up to muster, or your business page is all nice and neat, because people will look to that for social proof. It's just another touch point. People are armchair detectives these days. They will go and do a lot of research because research is there. 20, 30 years ago, the only bit of research you could do was to go to the library or to get the Encyclopedia Britannica out, right? Or to ask an old person who probably knew more than you. These days, it's all in the palm of their hand. So make sure that your marketing campaigns are rounded. Make sure that you touch people regularly and often. And make sure that when they do interface with you, you're shouting the right messages. Okay, that's it. That's all from me today. A nice short one, really. Thank you so much for watching. Karen, thank you so much indeed for adding your comments there. I hope you have all found this very useful. Next week, we're going to be talking about TikTok. I know this is going to come as an interesting conversation to be had with most of my target market. Maybe they are or are not on TikTok. If you are, let me know. It'd be interesting perhaps to get your opinions and what you think about that social media. Right. Well, you all have fun and get marketing in the round and touching those customers as many times as you can to be in the right place at the right time for them to convert. Until next time, thanks for watching. Ta-ta for now.